Over the course of years, there have been multiple Reddit users which definitely can be regarded as oddities. One of such was shared through an already deleted post on our Unsolved Mysteries. The OP of this post refers to the post history of this user and says that he or she unlawfully entered the Paris Catacombs and then disappeared. The user in question goes with the name snappedfingers. The last post she ever made before her disappearance reads as follows. We'll be entering the catacombs in a few hours-ish. While I found myself in a bit of a pickle the other day, the troubles are over. While I'm not proud to have done this, I borrowed a vehicle I found and used it to get to Paris. I have left a note inside the vehicle explaining why I took it. Right now I'm just gearing up mentally before I go inside the catacombs. As promised, I will post a video of the destruction of the portal, and I will also create a portal destruction tutorial. I need to thank Arvel Screeching Artistically for getting me out of the jam I was in by calling a guy who can start a car without keys. Thank you, Screeching Artistically, you really saved my butt. I also want to give credit to my other Discord friends who helped me uncover all the information that led to the portal's discovery. Once I shut down the portal, you'll be free from your possession. Before, someone had asked about a time frame for when I will post an update, and while I don't know how big the catacombs are, my guess is maybe a day or two before my return with videos. I have taken some test footage while I was held up inside a dumpster the other night, and the quality honestly isn't that great, but it's alright to make up for the quality of the video. I will take more footage while I'm down there. One other thing, as someone else has mentioned that catacomb explorers will be attempted to hinder my travel, which absolutely cannot happen. These individuals have an extremely high chance of being possessed through their extended exposure to living in the portal, so I will be wary of their threat. Obviously we have no context at all to why and how she ended up where she is, therefore let's go through her post history, and trust me, this goes very deep and is certainly somewhat disturbing. I honestly don't really know if this user is male or female, but I'll go with the profile pic, which seems to be a girl. Anyway, before we dive into this, I just want to say that if you have any video suggestions, please make a thread on my subreddit. Also, if you enjoy my content, I'd appreciate a sub and a rating. Let's dive into this. One of the first posts from this user reads as follows. Saw someone get run over by a train and didn't feel anything. She talks about how she saw a kid being struck by a train and how it left her reactionless. This pretty much sets the tone for the remainder of posts to come. How much do interdimensional beings require to leave you alone for good? Long story short, I see things that don't appear to actually be there but are. Recently, I've been discussing this matter with some experts on Discord, and apparently if I give a significant part of myself, as in only from me, to these interdimensional beings, they will finally leave me alone. I've been informed her fingers enough to banish them, but I'm not convinced. I don't even know if they will take it completely or just want it removed as some peace offering. Basically, I don't know if it can be recovered. On top of that, I'm a bit skeptical on whether or not the whole ritual will work in general. Knowing now that these aren't hallucinations like I once thought, but instead interdimensional beings, I seek others who might have experience with banishing them, and hopefully there's a solution that's less extreme. Basically, snappedfingers claims that she is witnessing potential paranormal beings, and that she was advised to make a sacrifice in order to not be haunted by them anymore. She talks about receiving advice from experts on Discord. We'll get into that in a moment, but let's actually continue with a more disturbing threat, which is a direct follow-up to this one. This one reads, if I bite off my own finger, could it be reattached or attached somewhere else? Title, because I need to. This obviously adds an additional layer to the overall darkness and creepiness. Some people give legitimate advice, others don't seem to take it seriously. The next one reads, seeing and hearing things that aren't there. where she talks about her hallucinations. How she sees spiders that aren't really there. How she sees a snake when she's lying in bed, but whenever she truly investigates it, she never is able to see it. She also talks about body hallucinations, which are rare but still happen. The last one was from a couple of years ago when I was taking out the garbage. The silhouette of a child crouched down on all fours charged me only to disappear when I looked at it. And before that, there was a large, fleshy, naked, featureless figure slowly walking on all fours in the room down the hall, approximately the average size of a man. The things she talks about sound paranormal, but she clarifies that while her neighbors believe in supernatural beings and summed up the occurrences as ghosts haunting her, she does not believe in any of that and as of lately keeps her experiences to herself. She further explains that she refuses to see a doctor and avoids the usage of medication since she had bad experiences prior, and she further claims that she never was intoxicated. Someone replied to the post recommending meditation and cutting off caffeine, which OP replies with the following: "I usually only drink water, had been like this for as long as I can remember. Only recently it's begun slowly increasing in frequency, excluding bad nights." We got a lot of information through this post. Let us summarize the key takeaways. OP hallucinates but does not believe in the supernatural. And she refuses to take medication, never was intoxicated, and does not seem to have anyone she can talk to in real life. Let's keep this in mind moving forward. The next post has a very disturbing title, but the content of the thread has been deleted. I tried to replace the R from Reddit with a C in order to potentially find the content of it, and there you go. OP describes here that she again had one of her hallucinations in 2008, where a black mass engulfed her arm, which led her to grab her power drill and jam it in the black mass, causing an injury on her arm. People recommend seeking professional help, but she obviously is against that idea. More interestingly are comments from people claiming that OP is able to see into a different dimension. This sounds odd, but this is one of the most important things in this investigation and will be essential later on. OP responds with the following: "The other day there was some guy on Discord telling me about a dimensional merge, not sure I buy it. But point being, he said something about reality being weaker in some places, causing stuff like this. And some of the things that appear seem to be curious as they just look at me and then hide. Like when I'm in bed there are weird arm things as thick as a fist that pop up in my peripheral at the side of my bed, and when I look at them they dive back down the side of the bed. Then there was this guy that offered to talk to her over Discord because he knows about interdimensional creatures, which OP accepted, but she still seems unsure whether this is legit or not. Let's keep this in mind though, these random people offering their help over Discord will become very important." After this, she went on r/Ask Reddit where she shared the following: "If you see interdimensional beings, how do you deal with them?" People made obviously jokes about this, but OP seems to take it very seriously. It's also interesting that there seems to be some sort of shift. Prior, she said that she is unsure whether she is seeing interdimensional creatures and that she does not believe in the supernatural, but now she considers it as a legitimate possibility, at least from the looks of it. In the next post, the user details 2 methods that she tried out in order to banish interdimensional beings. Viridian's method. Currently I'm using the method of mixing turpentine, a bit of my own blood, and holy water. A small glass enough to banish smaller interdimensional beings but not larger ones. Master G's method. The other method can banish larger interdimensional beings, but at the cost of a part of oneself being sacrificed to the entity. Frankly, this method is too risky. I ended up at the hospital over it. So the people offering their help over Discord gave snappedfingers rituals that she can try out in order to banish the interdimensional beings. That snappedfingers is a naive person becomes very apparent. Trusting random people on the internet and physically harming yourself over the advice of strangers seems very odd. It gets even worse. The people giving her that advice were linking threads from X and involving Anons in this. Snappedfingers acts like she doesn't know anything about 4chan, which might be true, but that Anons are just trolling her is very obvious. Anyway, there's some more info in the replies down below. Someone says that there are many trolls online that trick people in believing all sorts of stuff, but Snappedfingers claims that Viridian's method worked on her and got rid of one of her interdimensional beings. She even acknowledges that seeking professional help could be the way to go, and that she wants to get an appointment. The way Snappedfingers interacts with multiple people seems very genuine. These conversations feel real, not staged at all. Even though Snappedfingers realizes that the people messaging her on Discord are most likely just trolls, she still talks to them under this very same post. Chief, please check your DMs, it's mission critical. I'll call you guys later, but I want to know the truth now, no BS, it's super late in my end at the moment. In need to crash. Just be sure you check your DMs, Chief. And don't worry, everything will make sense. If you'll still be on for a bit, let's continue this on either Discord or DMs. Let's trim the next post to the main point. She basically now says that she took meds, but they didn't help with her problem. Now she considers the possibility of her hallucinations actually being ghosts. It's crazy how often Snappedfingers changes her opinion and perception on things. Prior, she didn't believe in ghosts at all and dismissed that as an option, but now considers it as a possibility. Occasionally, she would make threats and comments regarding the game Darkest Dungeon and others. I wouldn't say there's anything suspicious or interesting about these posts. Snappedfingers continues with her ramblings about interdimensional beings in the following threads, but with a big difference. Is there really a hell portal down in the Paris Catacombs? I believe that if this portal is actually there, that it might be responsible for the release of swarms of interdimensional beings that spread out worldwide. I've been looking for pictures of this portal, but keep getting images of the rooms flooded with bones instead. I need to find the portal's exact location, so I can get an off-the-rails guide down there to shut down this portal. I haven't quite figured out how to shut down the portal yet, but I'm still working on that matter with a duo that has shut down hell portals before. I've been working on this plan for a while now, and now that I'm so close, there's now being airports shut down because these interdimensional beings release a biblical plague to stop this from happening. I need to find this portal. And so I think you can already anticipate what the reactions to this post are. Interestingly, she talks about a duo that allegedly has shut down hell portals before, and she more or less confirms here that these are the same people that texted her on Discord. Anyway, she wants advice on how to shut down hell portals in this post. While some replies seem to be somewhat serious, others are still mocking her. There is a very long reply from her, which is honestly somewhat unsettling. While she was always somewhat professional in terms of how she wrote and replied to people, this behavior here differs a lot. Hey, how's the trip going? Also, try not to get lost down there. Hey, the trip is going mostly okay, but there were some problems at the beginning and during. At the beginning, I got picked up and dropped off at some big building and had to wait a few days in this building in a war room. It had a pretty sweet TV and a stack of movies I could watch. There was a couple who went through my things and they forbid me keeping my pickaxe and shovel, but they didn't go through my things that much, so I still have my buck knife for opening cans only. Then, when the gentleman that would be escorting me finally came, I brought up that I needed my pickaxe and shovel to shut down the hell portal, but they made me leave my shovel and pickaxe behind because they were worried I'd use them as weapons too. It's been kind of a long trip, but it's mostly been just waiting and watching movies, waiting for the gentleman mentioned previously, or later waiting for a signal from someone else to give us a go-to move, which was almost always at night, which sucked, so I haven't slept very well either. Plus, it's very difficult to hide in a car when interdimensional beings start swarming the car. They made me tell them why I kept hiding, so now all the interdimensional beings are really mad and pressing themselves against the windows, and small ones are crawling inside the cabin. For context, whenever I tell people in real life about the interdimensional beings, they get really mad and start swarming later on. They already had an idea beforehand of what my mission is, so they were kind and understanding of the situation. We just got across the water today, and I'm in Calais right now, where I will be continuing my journey on my own, although I didn't think to bring money, so I have to go on foot to Paris. While the couple I mentioned before gave me some Doritos for my journey, I realized I didn't account for food for the road. Actually, I have nowhere to go for shelter. I didn't account for money for a hotel or a rental car. I'm beginning to realize I'm screwed. Like just now, I don't know what to do. I know I can ask directions, but I have no refuge from these interdimensional beings. They are still angry, I know it, and when they get the chance, they start swarming again. Jesus, I think this was a mistake. I don't even have enough money to go back, and if I get caught, I'm screwed. I don't have a way to call those guys back to even try asking. I don't know what to even do. I don't know. If I proceed, I'm going to be overtaken. If I get caught traveling illegally, I'm screwed either way. I need to clear my head. I will post later. I mean, you can understand what she's trying to say here in this reply, but obviously the way she writes differs from before. She makes a lot of spelling mistakes and does not seem to be in any control of the situation she is in. She seems very desperate and clueless. And to underline the authenticity of her posts, she goes very in depth about how she plans to do it and has basically always a plausible answer ready for comments that are confronting her. Prior to this very long reply from her were a few other posts. Now it starts to get really interesting. Snappedfingers decides to create the subreddit R-Dimensional Breach, a forum to gather knowledge on how we can keys the invasion of interdimensional beings. The first ever post on the subreddit reads as follows. Current objective: locate exact location of hell portal hidden with the Paris Catacombs. She pretty much just explains how she wants to proceed in order to shut down the supposed hell portal in the Paris Catacombs. You can also read this next post here, which honestly just further shows her delusion. It's actually almost laughable how absurd this post is, but it just shows a person's dive into insanity. I also want to address that she really stresses on the fact that she has a Discord group, where the individuals share a lot regarding interdimensional beings and the hell portal. It's almost like she really wants others to know that she has a Discord group, for whatever reason. It's odd to mention this so frequently. One of her posts receiving the most attention was posted on our Paris Catacombs. Basically, she again says that she wants to travel there through unconventional means and what she will bring with her. A lot of people were curious as to what she'll do or if she even is alive. The next post on our advice gives a little bit more context. She wants to bypass the lockdown regulations that were present a few months ago and is looking for advice in terms of unofficial or alternative routes to travel to Paris. While the rest of the post seems almost identical to the prior one, there's one disturbing addition in this one. I'm considering a small chainsaw for limb sacrifice if I'm being cornered by a large interdimensional being and need a quick out, but I don't have any means of halting the bleeding. I haven't found a way around this yet. With my departure growing near, I'm out of time to figure it out, as my volunteer will be arriving any day now to take me to Paris. One of her last posts on our advice is titled, "How do you cure possession by interdimensional beings?" Here she now begins to doubt people on the Discord server. The same people that told her about the hell portal and the interdimensional beings in the first place. Let's take a look. I'm in a Discord group that has been helping me track down the source of an interdimensional incursion. These people help to reveal the location of where these interdimensional beings are coming from and even help me get in contact with people to get me to the Paris Catacombs and bypass the travel regulations. Today I believe they became possessed, and even though I have all the information I need, I know it isn't right to leave them possessed. I know they are possessed because when I told them I hired the men that can get me to the catacombs and that I'd be leaving with them to shut down the Paris Catacombs hell portal, they suddenly became opposed to the entire operation even though we all planned it together. I'm still in contact with the only member of the Discord who wasn't possessed, but even he is at a loss for how I can help the others. If I fail in shutting down the hell portal, they will be forever possessed, and leaving that risk to chance just isn't right. Please help me unpossess them. I think the last bit of sanity she had is gone. She is so convinced of the idea of interdimensional beings and the existence of hell portals that she is completely unreceptive towards doubting a procedure and belief. I think the people on Discord were literally just a few trolls trying to make a joke out of all of this and then realize that it went too far. It is somewhat likely that she will not make it out alive there if she goes there, thus the people on Discord probably felt bad and realized that they went too far with their trolling. People under this particular post were also discussing very dark outcomes from her trip to Paris, which definitely all are possibilities. Her last post on our advice is her just saying that she has absolutely no funds for a journey and that she uses a dumpster for shelter against the interdimensional beings. Now there are only 2 remaining posts she made, and both of them are on the Dimensional Breach subreddit. The first one is her begging to be reinvited to the Discord server where the trolls first started chatting with her. And this was her last post. I showed this in the beginning already. 7 months have passed and there has never been any activity on her account ever since. No updates, nothing. Obviously, all of this leaves a lot of room for speculation and theory, so let's try to investigate this. A lot of people expressed their concern about the entire situation in the replies, while others think that it's a troll, ARG, or creepypasta. I think the main problem with people immediately writing this off as a troll or whatever is that these people just took a post out of context and thought, okay, yeah, this is just a troll. But if you actually take the time to go through everything like I did in the video, it becomes much more authentic. Except of a few irregularities which are suspicious, I couldn't find a lot of things that would hint to this being fake. Everything is somewhat coherent and makes sense. Like not the actual content of the posts and comments, but she doesn't really contradict herself telling us her story. Sure, she changes her opinion and viewpoint very frequently, but the storyline is for the most part very consistent. She could be lost in the catacombs now and probably is not alive anymore. She maybe was arrested by police patrolling the area around the Paris catacombs. Or she didn't even go in there at all and seek professional help and never returned back to her Reddit account. These would be the most realistic outcomes if the story is real. But let's be real, most of these stories on the internet are ARGs or creepypastas, and I don't think this is an exception. I still think it's entertaining to dive deep into somewhat authentic oddities, and I think that's the whole point. After the R. Hengseng investigation, I gave up on thinking that there's anything real about these internet oddities. Internet mysteries are very dry and rare at the moment, and you barely stumble across stuff that is interesting and worth your time. Snappedfingers was certainly something that had more substance than your ordinary ARG or creepypasta, but it's obvious that it is one. I don't need to go through her post word by word and try to find irregularities in her stories to realize that this is just made up. The entire thing with the Hell Portal and Paris Catacombs is pretty much the exact same plot from the movie As Above, So Below. It is presented as found footage of a documentary crew's experience exploring the catacombs of Paris and was loosely based on the 7 layers of hell. Obviously it just could be a coincidence, but I highly doubt that. Also, let's go back to the guy that made the first post I saw about the topic. It could be a random that just found this topic and then decided to make all of these posts, but it also could be Snappedfingers herself on an alt account trying to bring attention to the topic again since 6 to 7 months had passed since her last post. Further, there are people replying to threads claiming they knew Snappedfingers in real life or were in the Discord group where they trolled her, and this makes everything even less authentic. I'm very certain that she created multiple alt accounts on Reddit and just tried to make it more authentic by interacting with her own posts, And it would have maybe worked out if she didn't hop onto those old accounts after her last post. Also, there are no links to that Discord server and no one really knows if it truly exists. The supposed evidence from the Discord group could have easily been fabricated by Snappedfingers herself. I'm very certain that there was no Discord server at all in the first place, even if it was just her on her old accounts trying to push this narrative. Anyway, I think it was still fun to do this and I hope you had fun watching. If so, I would really appreciate a sub, rating and a comment. Check out the subreddit and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.